Hello everyone, welcome back. On one of my previous videos I mentioned that I had a bunch of scrap builds and asked you guys what you wanted to see. So a few of you gave some suggestions as to what you wanted to see, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. So I picked out 4 of my scrap builds that you guys specifically asked for in the comments, and I'll just go through them one by one, and so you can get like a basic idea of what they sound like. The first one requested was the Briggs 11, so we're going to start with that. I've got it hooked up here on my test rig, and we've got 4 controls. We've got bias, master, body, and gain. You can't see all those, but so we'll get a basic volume level with the master, and then we'll go through the rest of the controls one by one. So here's what the guitar sounds like. I'm playing my Gibson Voodoo Explorer through my Blackheart Little Giant 5, and it sounds like this. So that's just with the, I've just set the master to a reasonable level. I don't know what all the other controls are at actually. So I'm going to bring the bias down all the way to 0. The body down all the way to 0. You have to excuse the noise. It's where it's an open sort of circuit. Every once in a while when I touch something it might ground a bit. So alright, all the 3 other controls are now set to 0, except for the master, so let's see what we got. So it's a bit brighter and slightly louder. So I guess we'll start with the bias. See what that does. I brought that up to what feels like approximately halfway, so maximum. So it really doesn't do a whole lot. It's pretty subtle. It does add a slight bit of grit when you get it up to maximum. Maybe it works better in conjunction with the other controls. So I'll bring the bias back down to 0, and let's bring the body up. Let's just go for maximum and see what the difference is. So that was maximum. Here's minimum. It just seems to add some more bottom end. So they'll bring that back down to 0. And gain. I'll just bump it up. That seems somewhere around halfway. Maximum. So really, not a lot of gain. There's more volume in the room. It's probably not going to come through on the camera, but so with the gain maxed, let's see what the other controls do. So I brought bias and body up a little bit with the gain maxed and see how that affects it. We're starting to drive it a little bit more now, and maybe the gain works in conjunction with the bias to give it more of an edge. Yeah, there it is. So really let's just bring the body all the way up too. So this is with everything maxed except for the master. Sounds pretty nice. So I think it was Dan that requested the Briggs 11. Let me know what you thought. Moving along. Okay, so next up here we've got the Devi Ever Karaoke Party. This one's a bit simpler, just two controls, control and volume. So once again I'm going to bring everything down to minimum, and I'll get some volume and then we'll see what the rest of it does. So once again, here's my my bass tone from the Explorer and the Little Giant 5. That's with the volume maxed. There's not really... In fact, I think it's slightly quieter. It might just be a slight treble reduction. It's a bit hard for me to tell, but it's almost unity at maximum volume. So let's see what the control does. I'll just bump it up a little bit. Bit more. So it's getting a slight break up, and it's definitely getting louder. And here's what we got with both things maxed. So that got ugly pretty fast. Let's just back it down a slight bit and see if that helps. So, there's not really much else I can do with this, really. So I guess in conclusion, my thoughts for this one anyway, is if you maximize the control, you'll get a pretty nasty kind of broken fuzz sound. But if you back it off just a little bit, it retains this sort of just a really nice overdriven sound. So I guess it's pretty cool, but you got to be careful with it. So moving along. Alright, the next one of you guys so kindly requested was the Colorsound one knob fuzz. So I've already set the fuzz level, because I mean it sounds the same, just it's basically just a volume control. So I just set the volume already, but I am going to do something slightly different for this one, because with this testing rig the voltage, as you can see here, is adjustable, and actually it's wired in reverse, and I just haven't bothered to fix it. So counterclockwise is full voltage, and as I roll it this way the voltage goes down. So I'll demonstrate that on this to show you how the sound changes with lower voltages. Okay, so once again, here's the bass tone. As you can see, it's pretty fierce, but you could probably also hear the hiss is fairly significant. But watch what happens when I roll the voltage back a bit. You hear some of the hiss went away? And we got an insane volume boost by doing that. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. Even just rolling it back just a slight bit is enough to reduce the hiss a bit and give you a huge volume jump. And of course, when you roll it back to extreme levels, the fuzz becomes broken sounding. You get a little less gain, and the volume kind of stays at its highest point. So yeah, just interesting things to consider when you're making, you know, like, well, any fuzz circuit really, and probably the overdrives. I should have done that with the overdrives, but maybe I'll do that in a separate video. But yeah, varying the voltage can really alter your sound. So I imagine if I were to box this up, I would probably include a variable voltage control on it, just to give it a bit more versatility. Anyway, that's the Colorsound one knob fuzz, and let's move on to the last one I've got for you today. Alright guys, so the last one I've got for you here is the biggest one, as you can see here from the board. This is the Dr. Quack, which I believe is a modified clone of a Electro-Harmonix Qtron, but I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that. But what this is it's an envelope filter. So there's 3 controls, 2 knobs and a switch. One is for sensitivity, one is for release, and the switch, I believe, changes it from normal to bass. And you'll see when I play that one side of the switch is definitely way more suited for guitar. But let's just get into it, I guess. So here's the bass tone once again. I've got the sensitivity and release all the way down to 0, and the switch is set for the guitar setting, I believe. So, but with everything set to 0, it just sounds like a really muffled, like tone control at 0 kind of deal. So let's roll up the sensitivity some. As you can see, it's still very, very muffled because the release is also on 0, but you'll notice the LED on the board is lighting up when you play. So let's roll up the release just a little bit. You kind of get the idea. So as you roll the release up, it just, like, this is release at maximum. So you get like a little bit of the envelope thing going on. Let me take the sensitivity up to maximum. You just sort of get a weird noise over the background because everything is a bit too sensitive here. So roll the release back and it's still. So let's roll the sensitivity back as well. So you get the idea. The lower the release is, the more of a pronounced effect you get. But if it's too low, you really need to hit it hard to get it to open up. You get the idea. So just for a reference, let me roll that up just a bit. I'll switch it to the bass side so you can see what it does to a guitar. So here's the switch flipped. So it's really compressed and like super aggressive, and it's probably just not suited for guitar. Seems like there's just it's too much signal and it's compressing the hell out of everything. So I'm imagining that would work better for bass. So anyway, that's the Dr. Quack. And that's all I've got for you today, guys. So let me know, did you like these? Did they live up to your expectations? Were you surprised about anything? Did I forget anything? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to see any more of my scrap builds, go back to my my video about my scrap builds. Let me know which other ones you want to see, and I'll do that for a future video. So thanks as always for watching, guys, and take it easy. I'll see you next time.